So I'm gonna add some dry sorrel to the water. If you want, you can use some fresh sorrel if you have that. And after a few seconds, you'll notice the water starting to get a nice dark red color. I find that when you do the fresh sorrel, it's not as dark and potent as this dry sorrel. So I'm gonna start flavoring up this sorrel mixture. First, I'm gonna add some bay leaves, and this is the bay laurel leaves. If you could get the cinnamon leaves or the leaves from the bay rum tree, I think that would be even better. So I'm also gonna add some cinnamon. I got this straight from Grenada, so thank you to my friend Lisa for bringing back some nice fresh cinnamon bark for me. And if you don't have the cinnamon stick, you can just use a little bit of powdered cinnamon. So I forgot to mention that I have my heat on very low because I want this to simmer. And I want all the flavors from those Roselle or sorrel leaves, I want it to be extracted from there and go into my sauce. Next, I'm gonna grate a little piece of ginger in there, and this is gonna give a nice spiced kick to that sorrel glaze or concentrate. Next, I'm gonna grate some of that orange peel in there because I want that citrusy tang. And instead of the orange peel, you can add a little bit of orange juice if you want to, or you can add both. I'm also gonna add a few cloves. I find that cloves gives it a really distinct flavor. And if you want, you could add some star anise as well. I don't like the flavor of it, so I don't like to add it. So what you want is a nice simmer on this sauce. You want all the flavors to be extracted from those Roselle leaves or sorrel leaves or the sorrel flesh. You want all the flavors to come out of there, and you want it to marry together with all those spices that we added. And it's gonna make for a really nice sorrel concentrate or syrup that you can add to your cakes or whatever you want to add it to. So I'm gonna leave it for about 15 minutes to simmer on that low heat, and then I'll come back and we could strain it and use that nice sauce to create a syrup. So after 15 minutes, I left it covered and I turned the heat off, and I just let it steep in there for a little bit. So for about 10 minutes, I just let it steep. And now I'm gonna strain it, and I'm gonna take those sepals out because I want to use that for a fruit cake. So I'm going to put those aside, and if you wanted, you could blend it up and you can add it to this sponge cake mixture as well for some extra flavor. Or if you wanted a nice chunky glaze, you could also blend it up and add it to that sorrel syrup. So now that I separated the sorrel sepals as well as those spices, now I'm left with this nice mixture that I'm going to turn into a syrup. So I'm adding some brown sugar to it. You can add white sugar, you can add honey, or you can even add an artificial sweetener if you want. But I can't promise with the artificial sweetener, I can't promise it's gonna get thick like a syrup. So you just want the sugar to dissolve, and you want it to simmer in there for about 10 to 15 minutes or until it develops a nice syrupy texture. So you don't want it too thick and you don't want it too thin. So after 15 minutes, the sorrel reached a nice consistency. It's like a very syrupy texture. And as it cools, it thickens up a little bit more, so don't be too worried if you find that it looks too watery, because as it cools down, you'll see it starts to thicken up. So now just set it aside, let it cool, and if you're not going to use it right away, put it into a glass bottle, put it in your fridge, and you can use it up to about 3 weeks to a month. And make sure it's completely at room temperature before you put it into the fridge.